Hello YouTubers, Alaska Prepper here. So ladies and gentlemen, this article here says, why was Texas so vulnerable during the recent freeze? Now, I'm not going to read this entire article for you. However, there is a part of it that I would like to read so that you can take a look at what our future may look like if things keep going the way that they've been going, as far as the financial system, as far as our political system, the way that the citizens are treated in comparison to those that have most of the wealth. It says here, lit up downtown skylines are enraging powerless Texans. Pretty much, Texans that are still without power are ticked off because there's a lot of other places that are already lit up and they are not. And this is going to tell you what the difference is between the places that are lit up and the places that are not lit up. As night fell over the state on Tuesday, local leaders urged residents to do their part to reduce the strain on the grid, describing a dire situation that was only getting worse. Texans whose lights and heat were still on were asked to live as if they weren't, and to set their thermostats even lower. That's sound advice. We all need to do our part. Those who've been collecting the water dripping out of their faucets to prevent a freeze may have noted how quickly drops accumulate in a bucket. But individual effort didn't get us into this crisis, and it's not going to get us out. That brings us to the crux of the problem. While many Texans are suffering, it seems like the sacrifices are unevenly distributed. Indeed, Texans on social media have kept warm by burning the fuel of white-hot rage, as photos circulated on Sunday and Monday night of brightly lit city skylines. The illuminated parking garages and glowing empty high-rises towering over cities were taken as a slap in the face by residents shivering in dark homes or dropping the thermostat another degree in order to save a marginal amount of energy. Of course, it's a very difficult thing to figure out how to cut power to major cities because it often has to be done in giant contiguous areas, not building by building. Any block with a hospital on it cannot have its power cut. The same is true for areas with other emergency services such as 911 call centers or the pump stations supplying water. But even with that, the residents of Texas noted that there was a striking disparity between wealthier neighborhoods and poorer ones. And ladies and gentlemen, that's where I'm getting at right here. Make sure that you prepare yourselves for what the future brings, because those that have will continue to have, and those that have not will continue to have less. This is a tell about how the future will unfold. It's wrapped into the Great Reset narrative. It's also how nearly all of history has unfolded. The elites seem to skate by with few real sacrifices, while the majority of the burdens and pains are borne by the lower classes, the same as it ever was. Another telling moment was in the shocking prices for electricity service that were billed out to customers. Electricity priced in an open and mostly deregulated market in Texas shot from a few cents per kilowatt hour to $9,000 per kilowatt hour at the peak. Some say this was the market working as intended. A moment of severe supply constraints forced prices to adjust higher, thereby causing consumers to self-ration. However, because the price spikes happen in real time and bills are sent out monthly, this explanation isn't really all that satisfactory. Sending some poor retiree a $16,000 monthly electrical bill 2 weeks after the event has no effect on supply and demand at the decision point when it might have mattered. Instead, what we can take from this debacle is that when there's a very rare event that comes along and disrupts things, the free market demands that those bills be paid because, after all, a deal is a deal. Ordinary folks will be paying off $50 billion in Texas freeze costs for decades. After days of freezing temperatures with no power, the lights are back on in Texas. Now there are bills to pay. The state's energy grid did not come back. All at once, and the high demand sent costs from 12 cents to $9 per kilowatt hour, reported the Associated Press, which added up quickly. Governor Abbott and Texas lawmakers are promising relief, and electric companies aren't turning off powers to those who cannot pay their bills. But someone will have to pay the estimated $50 billion in costs at the beginning of the blackouts until Friday morning. CPS Energy, which serves San Antonio, is among those withholding storm charges for now, saying online that they are trying to spread the cost over 10 years or longer. Either way, however, the customers will likely foot the bill. And this is the problem, ladies and gentlemen. The way that the system has been working for the past decades has been thwarted towards the side of those that are already immensely rich. And how has that happened? Of course, you're going to hear me say it one more time. All of this money creation that has been going on for the decades. Remember, last year alone, they created 25% or more of all of the money that we've ever printed in the United States, in the history of the entire United States. They printed 25% in 1 year. Most of that money, ladies and gentlemen, is already going to go to the people that are already at the top. Why? Because whenever inflation takes hold, the first things that increase in price, the first things that inflate in price first, are those things that the wealthy already own, like stocks, like houses, mansions. Why do you think that there's baseball cards and hockey cards and basketball cards going for millions of dollars when only a few months back they were only going for $40,000, $50,000? It's because the people that have all of the money, who have benefited from the system being the way that it is, they have all of this money and they don't know what to put it into. So they're putting it into baseball cards and hockey cards and basketball cards in order to try to preserve that wealth in those cards, because they know what's happening to the dollar. So protect yourself, ladies and gentlemen. I just thought I'd bring this up to you because I found it pretty interesting that, as you can see here, here's the losers, no lights, and here's the winners. Right, ladies and gentlemen, it's just like North Korea and South Korea, except it's right here in the US of A. Having said that, I hope you have a good day. Remember to be good to each other. When good people do good things happen. Remember to reach one, teach one, and repeat. If we all did this, the world would be a better place, and you know that it will be a better place. Many blessings to all of you and your families. This is Alaska Prepper. I am out.